Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here to be talking about Survivor 47. And this is the new season and the new era of Survivor. So, as of course, it'll have all the same tropes that we have come to know and tolerate and expect, which is the 26 days, 3 tribes of 6, and some of the advantage shenanigans and all that hoopla. Of course, being on Fiji as well, which is basically the home spot, at least since the mid-30s of Survivor. But there's a bit more to this season that I do actually kind of want to talk about. And, I mean, of course, I'm a big Survivor fan. I love talking about all the seasons. But this season did have a lot of great moments. It had some great high highs and some low lows for me. But before we dive into it, just know that this will be a spoiler-filled video. So if you haven't watched the season or if you haven't caught up, I highly recommend doing that before you watch this video. Alright, so with all that said, what I really like about this season, because from beginning to end, it was entertaining, which is the most important thing, because the cast of characters, especially I feel like the pre-merge, which is a rarity usually for me, where the pre-merge is kind of the standout compared to the merge, but the pre-merge, I was legitimately thinking this is like a god tier season, because I was blindsided in pleasantly surprised type of ways about who the boots were. I would say the first 3 boots in particular being, John Lovett, who's that famous podcaster of Pod Save America who used to work with Barack Obama and all that. He's a really big type celebrity. For him being the first boot, to TK, who was the second boot, who you would think would be a huge challenge beach. And then, of course, to Aisha, who is really famous in the Survivor community, working with, Rob has a podcast. These 3 boots to start off the season, and of course them all being pretty entertaining, interesting episodes, that just made me think that this season was going to be something of a joyride. And the rest of the pre-merge kind of fit that way, because you had some really interesting gameplay, but I will say, in terms of the editing, the edit really focused on the yellow tribe and the red tribe, because the blue tribe didn't really get as much focus, and so that kind of told us as an audience that none of them were going to win, which of course turned out to be true. So you were really focused on the red tribe and yellow tribe, especially the yellow tribe. But in terms of the editing, which I thought could have been a bit better to flesh out the blue tribe a bit more, they did a really interesting job on how they were telling the story, because the eventual winner, which I'll get to in a minute, she doesn't really get a lot of, she has her moments, but she isn't really fully fleshed out in the pre-merge. And it's once you hit the merge, I feel like that's when she really starts to develop. Not to say that she was skunked, she was, an episode where she didn't have a confessional, nothing like that. You still saw her presence, but her game, you just didn't really take note of it. The main figureheads, I would say, of the pre-merge on the yellow tribe was Sam and Sierra. They were kind of the 2 duo, and so you were alright, these are the 2 important people from this tribe. They got Andy, who's going to be a lovable, annoying goofball that is going to be their third. And then, of course, on red, the main focus was really Teeny, who, of course, makes it very far into the game, making it all the way to Final 4. The main focus for Teeny on the red tribe in the pre-merge, you were thinking that she was going to do something, or, they were going to make it far, which they did, but their game was horrifically bad. Especially, I don't want to, overly trash on anyone in particular, but especially in the latter half of the game, they, their attitude and just them, especially towards Sam near the end, how they basically were throwing a fit and getting all mad, for example, of not being chosen out of reward, thinking that they're special or something. I was just that is so off-putting, and I kind of hate when people act like that and they don't get pushed back from it. And so that's why it was satisfying to see, when you get to the fire making challenge, which I think was, it has to be one of the best. Not really in terms of story, because none of them win anyway, so it was a spectacle, it doesn't matter. But just from a watching, a oh man type of experience, it was an incredible fire making challenge. And of course, my dog Sam clutched up and defeated Teeny, but you still in the way felt bad because, it is someone's dreams losing, even though I think everyone knew at that point that Rachel had it locked up when she got the immunity necklace. And speaking of Rachel, I have to say, I've been seeing a lot of people on the social media and all. They're doing all their stuff they do whenever a girl wins in Survivor nowadays. They call her mother, they call her queen, slay, best of all time, no flaws. And it's hilarious because throughout the game, she was constantly blindsided and constantly being targeted. And the only way she even made it to the end was literally come like the finale. She had to win out in terms of like the last few immunity challenges. She had to win 4 of those last immunity challenges. And that 5th one that she didn't win, she had an idol that she basically was gift wrapped at the auction from the fries. And so she, in a lot of ways, kind of played a similar game, if you will, to like, a lot of people were comparing her to like Ben Driebergen, who everyone hates from season 35. But honestly, I want to compare her a bit more to Mike Holloway from season 30. Now, the reason why I compare that a lot is because, kind of like Mike, like unlike, like really, her social game was not that great, because she, as we saw in the pre-merge, like she thought she was in the majority with like the 3 women and Sam, and they were going to vote out Andy. But she was blindsided when Annika got the boot. So she was really on the bottom, and then come the merge, like one of her alliance members, the Sierra, gets picked off, and so once again, she's on the bottom. And so, but there's other threats in there, so she kind of skates by just a little bit until the main, like, immunity threat, Kyle, gets taken out. And so when that happens, she's able to go on an immunity tear, kind of like how Mike did once Joe got out in season 30. He was able to go on an immunity tear. And that one challenge that Mike didn't win, he was able to play his idol, like what happened with Rachel. And so they both only made the end because of their like social, like not because of their social capital, which they both, I'm not saying they did like bad social games, because to get to where they were in the game, they had to do something right socially. I'm just saying, to seal the deal and really just plead their case and finish their stories in their respective seasons, they had to win out in immunity. And I think that's great. Like, we got basically the female equivalent for Mike Holloway, who's one of my all-time favorite Survivor players. So I think that's wonderful. She even acknowledged, like, because she looked down on, players like that in terms of their games, but she reevaluated it basically because she played the same type of game. And so it was kind of a humbling experience that she had at Final Travel. And I do think her journey was very interesting. And while the edit didn't really show it early on, which I think it was a way to kind of trick us of some of the other players, like, she did have a good presence and made some solid moves. Underrated moves like bluff playing her shot in the dark, thinking, because she didn't know where the votes were going at that first merge vote for, the jury. So she knew she had an idol, so she played her shot in the dark just to see everyone's faces on if she needed to play her idol. And that is such an underrated, great move. I have to give props. And of course, I know I'm gushing over Rachel, but my man Sam, I loved him so much, and if he could have just won one immunity to take her out, he would have easily swept this game, because his scrappy underdog type game, to be someone of his physicality and someone who is really likable and charming, and not win anything, no idols really to play on themselves, no immunities, to make it all the way to the end and just scrape on by, keep going through, charging forward, I have to acknowledge that is an incredible story. And it's unfortunate he only got 1 vote, because he was my GOAT. He was awesome. And this season had a lot of great moments. The challenges were fun and unique, especially some of the ones near the end where Rachel clutched up and won. The pre-merge had some devastating blindsides and a whole lot of just fun to really be had. And the cast was really solid, except for one person, and I do want to hit on this for a minute because this guy annoyed me so much. Rome. Now, the reason why I want to just throw some shade at him is because right after his boot, he, how you do, all the cast do their little interviews. Well, he was on his interview, and here is the video here just to show you it. You can go watch it for yourselves, but he basically spoiled the boot list on who wins the game. Like, he switched up some of the blue tribes so that he wouldn't potentially get sued by CBS or, whatever. But from 6-1, so like from Andy to Rachel, the boot was completely accurate. So he spoiled who wins this game back in, like, I'd say late October, early November. And that's very scummy and just a terrible thing to do. And I hope we don't see him return based on that, because he ruined it for a lot of people, myself included, because I ended up seeing one of those like a week or two ago. And so I was like, this can't be like this. Maybe this isn't how it is. And it was. And so that kind of devastated my watch of the season. And it kind of just got me infuriated, not because of the players, because the story edited it pretty solidly, and the cast was really solid for the most part, save for a couple people like Rome and Teeny. But that was really unfortunate that had to be ruined for me and many other people, and I just wanted to acknowledge it here, because that's part of where my anger comes from when I think of the season now, and that's not fair to the season, but I have to say it. But again, this season was another really well done season. You had a solid cast of characters, particularly on Yellow, and even like Red, like Genevieve, who started out this game kind of out of nowhere, like didn't really have an edit, to by the end she was like really on the forefront of everyone's like threat level, and she just played a great game. And there are some other characters, like, of course, I believe I mentioned Kyle, who is a huge challenge beast. Sue making it to the end, being almost 60 years old, was great. Like, this truly was a really solid season, and I hope as time goes on we can really appreciate it more now that if some of the drama subsides and our expectations are dialed back. But again, those are my thoughts on Survivor 47. What do y'all think of this season? Please let me know down below in the comment section. And if you want to hit the bell as well to get notified of when I upload, that would mean so much to me. Again, thank you all so much, and I'll see you later. Bye.